Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely epic journey, the untold story of India's history. We usually just hear these isolated tales of kings and empires, right? But today, we're pulling back the curtain on a continuous, sweeping narrative of incredible resilience, devastating destruction, and extraordinary rebirth. So get ready, because we are embarking on one of the most expansive historical journeys imaginable.
9,000. Just think about that number for a second. We're covering 9,000 years of continuous civilizational history today. We're starting our journey from the very first mud huts in Marigar all the way to a modern nation landing a rover on the south pole of the moon. This is the story of how an entire civilization evolved, survived, and ultimately thrived.
Here's the roadmap for our phoenix-like journey today. We'll start with the Indus to Mahajanaparas, move into the Mauryan and Gupta empires, and then confront the invasions and India's resistance. After that, we'll look at the Mughals, Marathas, and their struggle, transition into British rule and independence, and finally, witness the incredible rise of modern, developed India.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Indus to Mahajanapadas, the dawn of civilization.
Check out this timeline. The evolution here is just mind-blowing. Starting way back around 9000 BC in Mehrgarh, these folks weren't just early farmers growing barley. The evidence actually shows they were using fine stone drills to practice early dentistry. Seriously, dentistry in 9000 BC. Fast forward to 3500 BC with the highly advanced grid cities of the Indus Valley, into the Vedic Iron Age, which totally revolutionized agriculture, and culminating in 600 BC with the rise of 16 powerful states known as the Mahajanapadas.
And the scale of this? Absolutely staggering. 1.5 million square kilometers. While much of the rest of the world was literally still figuring out basic tribal living, the Indus Valley Civilization was sprawling across this massive area. They were building cities on perfect 90-degree road grids, using standardized brick sizes, and even had covered drainage systems complete with manholes.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Mauryan and Gupta empires, also known as the Golden Age.
So, picture this. After being deeply humiliated by the tyrannical Nanda king, a brilliant scholar named Acharya Chanakya unties his hair and swears a legendary oath to completely uproot that cruel empire. Fueled by this fire, he mentors a young boy named Chandragupta. Together, through unparalleled strategy, they actually pull it off. They overthrew the dynasty and built the mighty Maurya Empire, which eventually stretched all the way to modern-day Iran. Now, the Gupta era is rightfully called India's golden age for a reason. We're talking foundational breakthroughs that literally shaped the modern world. Aryabhata gives us the concept of zero. Charaka and Sushruta are laying the groundwork for Ayurveda and advanced surgery. Then there's the unexplainable metallurgy, like Delhi's Iron Pillar. It's been standing for over 1,600 years without rusting. Add in global trade booming along the Silk Road and Kalidasa penning literary masterpieces, and you've got a civilization at its absolute peak.
To put this intellectual boom into perspective, look at this number, 10,000. The ancient Nalanda University wasn't just some local school. It housed 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers from all over Asia, from Korea to Tibet. It was a massive global hub for astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. The entrance exams were famously so tough that even the gatekeepers were highly respected scholars who'd grill you on your knowledge before even letting you inside.
But as history so often shows us, immense wealth and knowledge inevitably attract invaders. That brings us to Section 3, Invasions and India's Resistance, the Cycle of Destruction. What's really fascinating and frankly tragic is the historical pattern we see emerging here. In the First Battle of Touraine in 1191, Emperor Prithvi Raj Chauhan completely routed the invader Muhammad Ghori. But sticking to traditional Indian warrior ethics, he pardoned his defeated enemy. Big mistake. A year later, Ghori returns. Aided by the internal betrayal of an Indian king, Jaichand, Ghori attacks at night. You see, India rarely fell to sheer force. It was this devastating combination of merciful ethics and internal betrayals that usually broke its defenses. And this dynamic led to just unimaginable cultural loss. Take Bakhtiyar Khilji. He falls severely ill and is miraculously cured by an Ayurvedic scholar from Nalanda. But instead of saying thank you, he's consumed by intense jealousy that Indian medical knowledge surpassed his own. So he doesn't capture Nalanda as a fort, he burns it down out of sheer spite. The Grand Library had so many books that it burned continuously for 3 months, literally turning centuries of irreplaceable global science into smoke.
Despite the ashes of great centers like Chittorgarh, the spirit of resistance never actually died. Here's Section 4, Mughals, Marathas, and Struggle, Resistance and Rebirth.
This was a really intense, back-and-forth struggle spanning centuries. Down south in 1336, you have the staggeringly wealthy Vijayanagara Empire rising up. We're talking diamonds literally being sold in street markets. By 1526, Babur introduces cannons to the battlefield at Panipat, but this sparks fierce pushback. Maharana Pratap makes a legendary stand at Haldigati in 1576, and later, the brilliant strategist Shivaji Maharaj is crowned Chhatrapati, fighting back with a highly dedicated people's army.
Now, the Mughal era is often praised for its incredible imperial wealth, right? Shah Jahan building the world-renowned Taj Mahal and the Peacock Throne. But the crucial takeaway here is the stark human cost. These monuments were built directly on the backs of the Indian peasantry. Crushing taxation funded these massive projects, leading to severe famines. State soldiers were forcibly seizing grain from starving farmers just to keep the imperial construction going.
And resistance required the ultimate sacrifice. Captured through betrayal, Shivaji's son, Sambhaji Maharaj, delivered this incredibly defiant response to Emperor Aurangzeb. He endured 40 days of unspeakable torture without yielding his pride or his faith even once. And his martyrdom, it didn't scare the Marathas. It sparked an unstoppable wildfire of resistance across Maharashtra that completely drained the Mughal Empire over the next 27 years.
As the Mughal Empire began to crumble, a completely new kind of threat arrived by sea. Section 5. British rule and independence, the final oppression.
This was a corporate takeover, pure and simple, leading to the systematic draining of the Golden Bird. It all kicked off with Mir Jafar's treacherous betrayal at Plassey, handing Bengal right over to the East India Company. From there, it was just pure economic devastation. They cut off the thumbs of world-class Indian weavers, destroyed fertile land with forced indigo farming, and rolled out cruel divide-and-rule policies to pit brother against brother. Ultimately, horrific acts like the Jallianwala Bagh massacre unified a totally fractured nation into open rebellion. While leaders like Mahatma Gandhi were shaking the empire with nonviolent movements like the Dandi March, another absolutely crucial front opened up. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose galvanized the Indian National Army with his powerful battle cry, "Give me blood and I will give you freedom." He formed alliances overseas, proving to the British that they could no longer rely on the loyalty of Indian soldiers. This two-pronged approach proved that freedom wasn't going to be given, it had to be fiercely snatched back.
Escaping the immense trauma of colonial drain and a bloody partition in 1947, we finally arrive at our last section, Modern and Developed India, the Phoenix Rises. Let's see how a newly independent nation rebuilt itself.
And what a military and strategic resurgence it was. Look at this number, 93,000. In 1971, despite massive international pressure, a staggering 93,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered to the Indian Army. It was the largest military surrender since World War II, resulting in the creation of a new nation and completely redrawing the geopolitical map of South Asia.
The contrast here is just absolutely astounding. I mean, the British left behind a hollowed-out country they claimed couldn't even manufacture a needle. And in the 1960s, Indian scientists were literally transporting parts for the nation's first rocket on the back of bicycles. Fast forward to today, that exact same nation is the 5th largest economy in the world and recently became the first country ever to land a rover on the moon's rugged South Pole. They succeeded with highly efficient, low-cost tech where established superpowers had completely failed.
So, what does this all mean? Throughout this explainer, we've seen a civilization survive heart-wrenching betrayals, systematic loot, and devastating fires across 9,000 years only to rise again and again. Resilience is literally woven into the very fabric of this culture. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. After returning to the global stage as an absolute economic and technological powerhouse, what incredible heights will India's next chapter reach? Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey.